Hello and welcome to TTalk 101. I am Kennedy Monroe, and we are on episode 6. And I just have to say, I'm so excited that you're here for this long ride. It has been a lot for me to get to this point where I am trying to make weekly episodes for you. This has been a dream of mine. I used to do it all the time, and it's just finding the time that works. And I actually found that when I record this, I have a quiet space and I'm able to do it. So, this is part of my 2023 to myself two part of things. So when I talk about, giving yourself space and time, this is what I mean, because look at me now. I am making you constant episodes of this show, and I hope you're enjoying it and loving it as much as I am. So today on this week's episode, we're going to have some heart-to-heart stuff. We're going to talk about trans news later on, and give you a little update on some of the things that I have seen in the news. Just remember, when this is taped, this is taped it's taped on Sundays, comes out early access Tuesdays on Apple Podcasts and on my Patreon at patreon.com/Kennidi. I'm working on a new website, so my store is kennedy.store, and my new website I'm trying to work on will be kennedy.co, which will be an access area. It will be like my little blog. You can catch my podcast, you can catch anything you want on there, and it'll have all my links to all my social media. So that's what I'm kind of working on right now, and that's a process. But yeah, and of course, summer is hitting us, especially here in Houston, Texas. It is so freaking hot. I mean, this past weekend, Friday, we went and seen the Chainsmokers at the Houston Rodeo. If you do not know what the Houston Rodeo is, it's like this big month-long rodeo. It's like really humongous, and every night they have some musical artists that perform. So on Friday the 10th, we went and saw the Chainsmokers. We saw them 4 years ago at the rodeo. Amazing. This past Friday was amazing as well, and they blew the roof off. I have some great video I will be posting. See, if I had my website up, I can post these little pictures and video clips too as well, not just to my social media. But if you're on my Patreon, I'll have some videos and pictures on my Patreon. But they were awesome. They were even better than 4 years ago because, of course, they have more content. They have more music out. And that was so much fun. My husband was having a ball, but it was so crowded. We got there later than I wanted to. Parking was hell. It's the beginning of spring break. This week is spring break here in Texas, and it's just. So I will be working and covering a lot of my peers during this week. And I'm gonna dread it, but it's all right because they're all having fun during spring break. And then next week, I go to Seattle for work, and I'm so excited. I've never been to Seattle, so I can't wait to tell you my whole experience. I hope you follow me on social media so you can see all the things I do. But I'll be there for a summit for work. But I also will have a lot of downtime that I can travel around. I'll have a car, and so I'm so excited. One of my favorite movies is taped in Seattle, and that is 10 Things I Hate About You. So I will be going to hunt down the locations so I can see them for myself, because that is one of my all-time favorite movies from a teenager. And yeah, I can't explain it to you, but Julia Stiles is an icon to me, and she's one person I would love to meet one day. I think she's a genuine, kind person, so I don't think I'd be disappointed if I met her. Whereas in the past, I've been disappointed by some celebrities. So speaking of celebrities, let's move right into my next discussion. Last week, this past Saturday, the 11th, it marked like 10 years since Erica Andrews had passed away. And if you don't know who Erica Andrews, I've talked about her on my show. I've talked about her on my social media. The first trans person I ever met was Erica Andrews. I was 18 years old, went to a club in Houston called Toys Disco, no longer around. I went there with a boyfriend that I was with at the time. It was my first drag show, and it was a strip contest as well. So it was a drag show mixed in with strippers. So it was a lot of fun. We were sitting there, and all of a sudden, Erica pops out and starts performing, and I'm just like mesmerized. And I remember asking him, like, wow. He basically told me in terms that, she was once a guy, now she's, a girl, she's trans. And so in 1999, she was also Miss Gay USA. So, US of A. And just statuesque and gorgeous. And I saw something clicked in my head. It was like, that's who you're supposed to be. And it took me a while to process it at that time. But it just started triggering things. And a lot of people say, when did you know that you were trans? Like, people know when they were young, all this stuff. I didn't have the language or the means to even think about that. And what's ironic is I told someone a few weeks ago, Priscilla, Queen of the Desert is another one of my favorite movies, and there's an actual trans character in there. And it never clicked with me when I was younger that person was trans. And maybe I didn't click with that character so much because they were a lot older and I didn't grasp it that much. I don't know. But, or maybe it wasn't realistic to me. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that seeing Erica Andrews was like the pinnacle of my existence. I owe everything to Erica Andrews, and I've said this 100 times. Erica is funny, amazing. She was funny, she was amazing, and she loved to make you laugh. But when I first met Erica, she was a different type of person. Now, she was still kind. One of the first things I did was that night I went backstage and asked if I could talk to her, and they let me in, and I talked to her. And I said, "You're beautiful, you're amazing." I was just like giddy. It was like seeing a celebrity or something. I asked her how I could do what she was doing. And she basically told me how to do drag, basically how to get involved. And a few weeks later, I came back to the club, and she let me perform with her. That was history. She also encouraged me to do pageants, because I was very interested. She was Miss Gay US of A. I was very passionate, interested in that, because, I was a theater kid, so I thought, oh, I can do a pageant. I can do this. So she got me in contact with a promoter who had Miss Gay Teen Universe, because I was a teenager still. I was 18, 19, going on 19. A few months after I met her, she goes, get in contact with them, because they do it all the way up to 20, because you have to be 21 to enter the pageant like she was in. So I got in contact with the pageant owner, great person. Her name was Kitty. And ironically, the pageant was going to be in Galveston later that year, or the beginning of the next year. It was like 6 months away. And so I prepped for it. All my cisgender girlfriends from high school helped me prep for it. They helped choreograph. I did this song by Gwen Stefani and No Doubt. I'm Just a Girl. We had it choreographed. We had little costumes and everything. I went and bought a fancy updo wig and spent a lot of money, and a velveteen gown I got at a bridal shop. Didn't know what I was doing. But anyway, I didn't win Miss Gay Teen Universe, but I did win first runner-up, so they gave me Miss Gay Teen USA. The pageant scene, I was so naive to everything, and I had to really try to navigate it at a young age, and also had a bunch of cis women helping me, and they knew nothing about, the drag scene. Drag culture is very different than, the cis culture. And they could only help me so much. So what was great about doing the pageant was that it opened the doors for me to get my drag mother, Raven St. James, who was another trans woman. So do you see this pattern? It was trans women of color who really came into my life and guided me. And it was a lot of them who later on helped shape and mold me, like Roxanne Collins, who I worked with a lot when I was younger. And then when I moved to Chicago, Reina Valentino, who was like my trans drag role model, who helps get me guided in my transition and all that stuff. So she was Puerto Rican and black. So there you go. I mean, so many people have influenced me that are trans women of color. So I take their stories that I've learned and take them with me at heart. I understand that as a cis passing white trans woman, that I have a lot of privilege, and I walk around and I don't have to worry about things happening to me like some of my friends, or things I've seen happen to my friends in the past, and I understand that. So I'm here to speak out and be the voice for them when they can't be the voice. Raina is the person who helped create this show with me. If it wasn't for Raina, there would be no TTalk 101. I will tell you that. It was our creation. So it's just like, when I see white cis passing trans women that claim to be conservative, like Caitlyn Jenner and some other people on social media, I keep getting tagged or seeing this white trans woman who claims to be the conservative trans woman on TikTok spewing the fucking stupidest shit in the world. And to me, I think about all these trans women that came before her, these black and brown trans women that fought for us to be where we are. She posted a video the other day. I was fine before there was a trans flag. I was fine before there were trans marches. And the reality is that you were fine before because there was never a before. And she's basically using her mentality of being a cis white man before she transitioned. She has that mentality, and she doesn't understand her privileges. She's never walked or been around a trans person or a queer person of color, because until she can be around them and see their lives and see what they go through every day, then you can never understand their privilege. It's taken me a long time to understand my privilege, and I've said and done stupid shit in my lifetime and career because of the way I was raised. I was raised conservative. I was raised by a racist conservative, but I never let that allow me to be the person I am today. I never let his influence of his hatred towards people ever get to me. And speaking of family, I talked about this before, that if you have family that just doesn't understand you or want to disown you because you're trans, you're queer, you're gay, whatever, I know it's so hard, but sometimes we have to let go, because they're going to hurt you no matter what. They're going to hurt you more and more. You have to let go. Something is Mistress Isabella Brooks said this past week on RuPaul's Drag Race, was talking about her mother, and about how a few years ago she broke her ankle, called her mother, told her to come, help see her in the hospital. And she was still partially in drag because she broke her ankle doing drag. And her mother says, "What the fuck are you wearing?" And that was just it. She just was like, I'm not going to have this relationship with her. She's just like, get the fuck out. And that's how I feel with my dad. I'm just like, get the fuck out. And my husband today, as I'm recording this, said, you got people in your family talking about, trans and drag rights and queer rights on social media. And I don't get on Facebook and I don't follow the bullshit. I don't look at Facebook because of that. I choose to ignore. I know how they are. I choose to ignore them. I choose not to see it in my face. But I also know who they are. So I choose not to give my whole all to these people. My father is blocked on all my social media, so he can't see or hear or anything I do. And I can't see his because he's a MAGA. He's just a Trumper. And then his brother is just as bad, who fucking lives down the street from me. And yeah, just a bunch of stuff. But what I'm saying to you is don't let people come into your life to dictate who you are, even if they're family or blood. Just get rid of them. Get the fuck out. You can build your own family and find love and happiness through that. You don't need someone that's blood who treats you like shit to be around you. They don't deserve it. Back to Erica. Erica taught me a lot. And through the years, I didn't appreciate what Erica had taught me because I felt like, in a lot of ways, the people she was around early in the time that I met her dictated how she treated people or how she was. So sometimes her ego or how she treated some people was because of other people. And once those other people left her life and she was alone, per se, she became this uniquely funny, charismatic person. And what was great is when I moved to Austin in 2009 or 2009, I got to perform with her and be around her for a while. With my drag daughter, we got to be around her, and it was so beautiful because being around her again and just laughing. She would tell stories about when she first met me and the first time I did drag, and she remembers those things. So that was the most beautiful thing about her, and I'm so glad I got to spend that little bit of time before she passed with her and really get that bonding moment that so many people have. Erica was so beautiful and so much fun. She's missed. And if you don't know who Erica Andrews is, go rent or find Trannies with Knives, I think it's called. It's a funny horror movie. Yeah, she's in there. Anyway, so, yes, the title is bad, but back then we were using that language. It's not so much now. My show used to be Tranny Talk 101, so you see, tranny was a big word for us, our culture. People just snatched up and used it for other things. Well, I've been looking at social media, and some things popped across my screen. Oh, RuPaul last week came out and denounced the anti-drag bills, and social media was like, wow, he ripped them to filth. But he really had to be pushed to say that. See, there's where I don't like about RuPaul. He didn't consciously come out and do the video. He did it after everybody cried because he's a nationally renowned drag artist. Why are you not denouncing this when they're starting to talk about the bill, sign the bill, all that stuff? He didn't do it until way after it was already signed into law and people begged him to say something. So that's what I don't like about RuPaul. RuPaul has his own agenda. Let me tell you something. I love Busy Phillips. She put out a statement saying, my LGBTQIA plus friends and family, especially my trans friends, I see you, I love you, and I will always stand by your side, and I will fight for you because we all deserve to live our lives with bodily autonomy as we truly are, who we truly are. It just touched me. When you have cis allies who are out there, that's what we need. So if you're a cis ally listening to this, we need you to stand up. We need you to speak. We need you to be vocal and educate people. The problem is there's so many people that don't know what's going on. They're clueless to all this. And as they get clueless, if that's a word, we just slowly lose our rights. And we can't do that. So we need cis people to stand up and speak out and talk. So that was something I saw that I wanted to speak out. Alright, so we're going to move into trans news, and then after trans news, I'm going to tell you some personal information or some things going on about my life. West Virginia GOP legislator passes transgender care ban. And so it says, a bill that would ban evidence-based health care for transgender minors in West Virginia, the state estimated to have more transgender youth per capita than any other in the nation, is headed to the desk of Governor Jim Justice. The Republican governor has not taken a public stance on the measure, and it's unclear whether he will sign it into law. A spokesperson said he was unavailable for comment Saturday. In 2017 study by UCLA Laws, the Williams Institute estimated West Virginia had the highest per capita rate of transgender youth in the country. Every major medical organization, including the American Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the American Psychiatric Association, supports gender-affirming care for youth. So yeah, it's like, come on people, what is going on? Where are we going? So this transgender teen talks. I'm going to get a clip of it for y'all.
I want to bring in Nico, a 17-year-old student from Arlington. Nico?
Governor Youngkin, your transgender model policies require that students play on the sports teams and use the restrooms that correspond with their sex assigned at birth. Look at me. I am a transgender man. Do you really think that the girls in my high school would feel comfortable sharing a restroom with me?
Yep. So first of all, Nico, thank you for, again, asking the question and being here tonight and engaging in this important discussion. I believe first, when parents are engaged with their children, then you can make good decisions together. And I met your dad, and I'm glad that you're both here together. That's really, really important. I also think that there are lots of students involved in this decision. And what's most important is that we try very hard to accommodate students. That's why I have said many, many times, we just need extra bathrooms in schools. We need gender-neutral bathrooms, and so people can use a bathroom that they, in fact, are comfortable with. I think sports are very clear, and I don't think it's controversial. I don't think that biological boys should be playing sports with biological girls. There's been decades of efforts in order to gain opportunities for women in sports, and it's just not fair. And I think that's non-controversial and something that I think is pretty well understood. Again, I think these are very difficult discussions, and I am very, very glad to see you and your dad here together.
There are obviously a lot of different views on this topic, and you've said it should be up to parents. But it's not that simple, right? Because Nico's dad assuredly feels different than the Republican mom that was supposed to be here earlier. In that case, which parent do you go with?
Well, I don't think it's that hard when we start with the basic principle that parents matter. And, you know, there are parents who have unfortunately been on the other side of not being told what was going on in their child's life. And I believe that Sage's grandmother is here tonight.
She's over there.
And hi. And of course, what happened in Sage's life was that counselors and teachers didn't tell Sage's family about the fact that she was transgender. And she got caught up in some horrific human trafficking issues, and they almost lost her. And they didn't know. See, there's a basic rule here, which is that children belong to parents, not to the state, not to schools, not to bureaucrats, but to parents. And that's where the first step has to be.
So I don't doubt that Sage's grandmother and Nico's dad are wonderful, but not every parent is supportive, especially when it comes to LGBTQ students, especially when it comes to transgender students. Then what?
Well, again, I believe firmly that parents have a right to be engaged in their children's lives.
There's where he's wrong. My father would have never agreed to anything like that, even though there was conversations and he knew about me. He still would have never, he would have been that parent. He controlled how I looked, how I dressed, even though I snuck out clothes out of my house. It just irks me that his response is so, his response was men and women's sports. That's what they all go to, even though a trans man is asking him. The reality is that it's okay to be a trans man in their eyes because they see a woman coming into being a man, whereas someone like me who was born a boy, why would I leave and go be a girl? Why? I must be doing it for some gain. I want to get into the women's bathroom. I want to beat women in sports, whatever. That's their agenda. They think that we're just men, biological men, like he just said, who just want to tear down women. And that's not the reality. We just want to stand beside women. We want to stand beside and be accepted just like them. So this just kills me that we have lawmakers like this. And he annoys me. He's just fucking annoying. I just can't wait till there's a day when these people are gone. But that's not going to happen because we have young Republicans who are so naive to everything and brainwashed as well. But anyway, I will go into my personal journey. If you don't know, about a month or so ago, I lost my dog, Sweet Pea. She passed away. She would have been 14 on the 4th of March. She passed away in February. She was my heart. She was my last piece to my partner who passed away in 2014. She bonded me in such a way, and her death threw me into a depression I didn't even know I had. And this past week, I realized that I've gained a lot of weight. And my health isn't great because of it. I am now working on getting back to a healthy person. So it takes time and it takes a lot. So I just want you all to know that, I'm in a stage of working on me and working on my mental state and also working on being a human being. And sometimes that's fucking hard. But, my personal life has been a nightmare. This past weekend, my breathing when just walking is very hard, or even when I'm sitting, I have a heavy breath. And I also have cardiac issues because I have a heart murmur. So weight does not help my health issues. So I'm in that process of getting back. I was here at one point, right before my partner passed in 2014. I was the same exact way. I don't know what dictated it, but depression, all that took over, and I use food as a source to heal or help me. And I know a lot of people are like that. And we just got to find solutions and identify them and see and give ourselves space. So I'm working on that. I'm giving myself space. I'm being kind to myself, and I'm working on eating better. That's the problem here in America. We have so many bad foods that are readily available, and the good foods sometimes are more expensive. And if you can't afford them with inflation right now, then you're just screwed. So I'm working on that, and I just want you to know, and I will keep you updated. I have been silent this past week on social media in most ways because of this, and I will just keep the progress going. But anyway, I just want you to know that you're loved, you're valid, and you're beautiful and you matter. And trust me, I tell myself that every day. And sometimes, as much as we say things to ourselves, sometimes our depression can really take over. And we have to learn to guide ourselves, help ourselves, and move on with that journey. I just want you to know I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure if you're not subscribing to us that you are wherever you're listening so you know when we come out. And if you want to take a chance and get early access, join on Apple Podcasts. It's like a couple bucks, or you can join my Patreon, help support. Also, a lot of great things are my store, Kennidi.store, is revamped for a lot of stuff. Swimsuits are out. I got fanny packs, a lot of things coming out. So check out my store, go support it. Also, LGBTQIA plus merch is on there as well, and you're helping support a trans artist. And I love you, and I hope that you take time for you as well. Have a great, great day, week, whatever. And until next week, I love you.